Thank you for being around. We have another episode in our 9/11 Galactic Federation update. This is going to be two topics. The first one is on false light. Kathy, what do you know about false light? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah, this one was a doozy. When I heard the update, I was like, hold it. It's like completely opposite than what we were told. So I was very all ears. So lay it on us.
So the Galactic Federation member spoke about false light. His name is Timothy. He's 14 years old. He's a hybrid. He's half human and half gray. And he acts like your typical 14-year-old, but he was super excited to talk about this. So Timothy said that the concept of false light deters us from finding the true light. It's just another distraction.
Yeah.
And so it's like escapism, or any other distraction that we have to deal with. Like we have to find the meat of it and find what really matters and move the rest to the side, right? So it's a facade. It's not a bad thing. It just slows it down to a snail's pace. And so what you find, a lot of people that fall under the false light category are they want to meter the truth and they want to meter your growth and your evolution to their scale. So they want to kind of keep you small, right? They don't want to give you all the goods and all the truth in the beginning. That's how I live my life. People have to tell me sometimes to tap the brakes because I'm giving them too much information at one time. We can respect, but I also respect being able to take in information and make an informed decision on what's good and what's bad. So a lot of people that you're going to find that are false light. So if you ask your higher self, does this person have a soul and are they of the light? You may look at how they behave and think, you could say, are they false light? You may get a yes, you may get a no, because it's dependent on their intention. So some people are intending to deceive you that you don't really figure out that the light is within you and that you are the connection to source creator and you do not need anyone else's permission. And others, they want to get you there. They want to get you there on their timetable, not
right.
Full truth.
It's like both sides of the same coin. Again, this isn't it's not all about them if they're false light. Yes, and this is where we always, I don't know that we've stressed it enough in our other recordings on here. We have to check with our higher self for us all the time. Everything, does this resonate? Is this for me? Does this apply to me? Is this right? That is how we know all the time that it's for us or not. And in this way, it always points back. If we're listening to someone and it is that they are false light, that they're intending to control us and our growth, it's still, they are holding a mirror up to us because it's always back on us, right? Am I looking to you, Nicole, for my answers? Am I leaning on you because I don't want to do my own due diligence? I don't want to do hard research. I'd rather just listen to you and just, Nicole says this. Well, Nicole says that. No, that is, I am putting you in a false light category right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that falls in line with people, again, really being too lazy to do their own work.
Exactly.
Don't my word for it. I might bring you information that you've never heard of before. I can respect that you've never heard of it before. Ask your higher self, is this blah, blah, blah? Is this accurate? Is this in my highest and best good? Is Nicole of the light? Ask the questions. Yes. I'm not afraid of the answers. You should be either. Whatever they are, ask them. Yeah. He said that light and dark always exists simultaneously and that serves to unify us on an individual level. And that goes back into what we're talking about with the narcissists and the psychopaths.
Yep.
You know, people learn differently. They evolve at a pace and all of that. But that is for the individual to determine. It shouldn't be determined by exterior sources.
Right.
So if you are going and if you find the gumption and you're going in search of the truth, it's nothing, to me, it's just nothing worse than to come up against someone that you feel a connection with and they're just dripping a little bit of truth in with a whole bunch of other, hyperbole.
Right.
Because they just keep you there long enough to bait you to come back for a little bit more and a little bit more. And that's their timeline. That's
Yes.
not your timeline to truth. That's their timeline. And that's serving their purpose. And so then they're in service of self.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you really have to discern for yourself. And when we say discern, that has become a catchphrase. I'm going to clarify this now. Discernment means you have a heart response or a gut response to something. You take your head out of it. Your brain has been manipulated.
Yes.
Your brain is going to talk you out of every miracle that is happening around you to where you don't see them anymore. They no longer exist.
True.
Discernment means, for me, I can find a very profound moment when my discernment kicked in. I was watching someone I had watched for a while. And as I evolved and I did work and I worked through my things, my consciousness was elevating. And I was really oblivious to it because I didn't have anything to measure it by, right? And then I saw this person who I really liked shapeshift on screen. And I got physically sick to my stomach. I wanted to vomit. I had to turn it off. Okay, so my mind was already talking me out of what I saw. My gut was telling me it was real.
Yeah.
I had a visceral response, someone who was not a stranger. I had been watching, I had been exposed. It wasn't my first time seeing them, but it was my first time in a higher consciousness to where I could discern true self. And they were reptilian. And it was hard for them to maintain that human facade. And I saw it. And it made me sick. It made me so sick I wanted to throw up. That is discernment. You take your mind and your head out of it. It is not logical. It is your heart have a reaction to truth or your gut having a reaction where you feel queasy and sick and ugh. Yeah. That's discernment.
Okay.
You have a take on discernment?
I have another. I'm right with you. Completely right with you. As you were talking, I had this thought because just recently, this is an area that I am weak and I'm not sure. And always, if I'm not sure, I'll bring it up in a recording to address it with everybody. There is what we call housekeeping. There is what we do every day, right? To clean, using sage, right? Making sure that our devices are whatever. There is a way, and there are people that I have seen them on recordings, Nicole, and I know that you know them, and they will start their recording saying, I do not give permission. I do not, right? I don't even know the verbiage to use with that. But there is something to that, especially for us now. So when you talk discernment, there is a level of housekeeping that we need to do for ourselves, just like brushing our teeth. Wouldn't think of starting the day going out in public without brushing our teeth, right? Same. Knee jerk, always do it, especially now. Can you address that? And this, we weren't going to talk about this, but it fits right in here.
Yeah. And I know for us, I put on a defense shield. I connect to Mother Gaia. I use her grounding cord to energize my defensive shield. And anytime I am going to record or use my devices, I sage. I ask that they stay clean and clear of any shadow beings or dark entities, not only for myself, but anyone watching or anyone listening. I do that for my laptop and my phone. So that is daily and multiple times a day, actually. And then saging intermittently. And then I always use my pendulum and talk to my higher self when things are not going well. You know, we discovered today exactly why we had so much issue trying to record. You wouldn't believe it, but we won. And here we are.
Yep.
Yes, there are tools that people of the light can use to protect themselves from negative and toxic energies. And in doing that, we exercise discernment on where we want to give our energy and who we want to give our energy to.
Good. Perfect.
So, and that brings us to Mother Gaia, one of my favorite topics.
Yes.
So it's wrapped up in a climate change kind of question, but it's like shifting of the poles and how did that affect climate change? Like, what do we need to know? Like, what's the real deal? So the Galactic Federation member that spoke about this, her name is Terra, just like the other version of Earth, Terra, Terra. And she said, Mother Gaia can't breathe. Humans are too excessive in taking her green spaces, cutting her trees, all the grass, all the flowers, and making massive agricultural, like commercial agricultural plots, city developments, and buildings. Most structures won't be needed in 2 generations due to population shrinkage. Stop excessive resource usage now, and Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, can heal herself. But if that is not stopped soon, it'll be on repair. And I think that for myself, for sure, I feel like climate change is a manufactured thing. But I think that the effect that humans have and industry and all of that has on Mother Gaia is real. I think that they're 2 separate things.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And then as far as the shifting poles, the ley lines, we have Earth that has a grid system, and there are ley lines, and the ley lines are power. And power, you'll see that cities are always like buildings are always on ley lines. Those ley lines have power. Those ley lines connect to grids of power. So ley lines shift when the poles of the earth shift. And the poles have shifted a small measure, and that's normal for a planet. Okay. It's usually a massive amount of energy. So there's lots of times that there's massive amounts of energy that is in the atmosphere that Earth gets bombarded with. It'll shift the poles. The ley lines have shifted naturally, and animals and humans are gravitating toward the ley lines. That's just what we do. That's how we're engineered. So there's an energetic pull there. There's an energetic draw. Just like my frequency has a draw to certain other frequency, they'll end up gravitating toward my videos and my voice just because of my frequency. Same thing. If you're feeling the need to move, even though you don't know where you need to go or what you're going to do when you get there, it's by and large that your senses are responding to Mother Gaia's shift in the ley lines and your need to connect to that grid and share the power and alignment to her senses. So to be in alignment with Mother Gaia, Earth has a soul. And when we are in alignment with Mother Gaia, we are in alignment from her core all the way up through Father Sky. That's when you're in full alignment. It doesn't just start at your root chakra and end at your crown chakra. You know, there is power, a flow of power that occurs throughout. And so as human beings, we will gravitate toward feels good. And we'll gravitate toward that that ley line. And so people are moving toward forest areas, mountain areas, places that are, less densely populated. They are leaving less of a footprint where they don't have to cover everything in concrete. They don't have to have the biggest house. Like that has been a gradual shift that you see in multiple areas of the world, of Earth. And the controllers don't want us to know that, because where do they want you? They want you to be under the envelope of a city with a mayor who says what you can and can't do and charge you fees to park and fees to do this and fees to do that. And because it's good for business, it's not good for the earth. So many of us will seek in the future, if we haven't already. I am one of those gypsy souls. I say I'm more like I feel I need to go, and I don't really have a reason for it, except that I know I need to go. That's it. Many of us seek mountain and forest retreats, homes that are simpler lives, living on higher ground and in forests, listening to the senses respond to Mother Gaia. And it's an inner knowing. It is an inner peace and calm. You know it when you get there. You feel it. And it's something that's pulling you out of the cities and out of the suburbs and out of that race and out of all of that craziness into a simpler, calmer, more compassionate life. And so that you're not wasting all the resources and consuming all the resources, but you're sharing resources. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really resonated with that. I really took that to heart.
Well, and as always, I tie it back to how it affects us on the here and now level. I don't know. You are pretty young. I don't know that you would remember this, because this has been a few years ago. This isn't new. Like, just because the poles are shifting right now, this probably happened. I didn't hear that terminology then, but it was like back in the late 80s, early 90s. Those of you that are watching this recording, remember when everybody had this burning desire to go to Missoula, Montana? Like, there was a vortex. There was something in Missoula that was calling. Back then they were called tree huggers, and all the granolas and all the people that were really holistic and really, right, they were really stigmatized. They were all going to Missoula. Then from there it shifted to Sedona. Sedona was another hot spot. People they didn't know why they were called. They just felt this pull to relocate there, to go there. And then, then they felt like this bliss, right?
Yeah.
I personally had this experience happen in 1993 or 4. I don't remember now. It was the craziest thing I'd ever experienced. And it wasn't all that because of spiritual reasons, maybe, but it was the craziest thing. I knew, and it wasn't going to a retreat or a heavily treed small area, but it was for a reason, to get me to move so that my blueprint would happen, right? And more people, it affected many people. I had to leave California, and I ended up taking my son's father and his grandparents. We caravanned across from the West Coast clear over to Colorado Springs. I'd never been there in my life, right? And it was the strongest. I knew, we have to go. Like, we have to go now. And we completely uprooted. And I mean, I got the eye rolls then. No, here she goes. Here, like gypsy soul, whatever label. I mean, it was the craziest thing. Didn't matter then, still doesn't matter now. And fast forward, there was a huge reason for me to be there.
Yeah.
My dad, I didn't know he had just been diagnosed with ALS. Had no clue that one of the top I forget what the specialist was called. But anyway, he referred my dad to this clinic in Colorado Springs for treatment. I didn't know any of that was going to happen. And we got to Colorado Springs within weeks of my dad starting treatment there. He stayed with me. It was just beautiful. And when that unfolded, everyone knew, like, oh my gosh, if we hadn't followed this dingbat, if we hadn't followed the eye roll mama, right? Sometimes we don't know. But
Yeah.
I disconnect.
But you know in here, but you can't tell someone logically in their brain.
Exactly. In that same way. When the poles are shifting, now don't second guess that feeling. Don't go to logic.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's we've all been manipulated to really talk ourselves out of the beauty of the planet that currently live on. Now we're all about New Earth because we've taken advantage of Mother Gaia. We've really not been very kind.
Yeah.
And this isn't a testament to that. We can reverse the damage that we've done, and it can be more of a fair energy exchange where we're taking care of our power and our I use Mother Gaia's power to transmute negative and toxic energy in her core every day. That's where I send it. She's great at doing that. She loves to do that for us. It gives us a way to turn something negative into a positive, right? Instead of deflecting it to someone else or sending it back to whoever sent it to you, because that can cause its own problems. But in knowing that you're working with a strong soul, there's really not a stronger soul than Mother Gaia, and all that she's been through and all that she's gonna go through, and still love us and still want to do all that work for us. The least we could do is respect her and give her what she needs to breathe. Leave the trees. If you take a tree, plant some trees. Don't remove all the grass. Don't cover on concrete. Let the beauty of nature be beautiful nature, not just in a park or in a place that no one can go see it because there's fences up, but in your own space. And I think we could all learn that one. People drive through the country and they go, oh, can't imagine living here. I drive through the country, I'm like, I can't wait to live here. Yeah. And it's a matter of perspective. I've lived in all the cities and, it's just not for me. But at the same time, being able to sustain yourself without destroying everything in your wake, I think that's the lesson. We don't have to do that in order to take care of each other and take care of ourselves.
Right.
So, yeah. So listen to that little boy on the inside. That little voice on the inside is really smart. Really smart. And that is all I have for that. I think that wraps up our update for the Galactic Federation update from September 11th.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good. It was fun.
It was all good news. It's all good news.
It was. For me.
I always leave it up to Kathy on whether we're going to have comments on videos or whatnot, if there's questions or whatever. But if you have questions, you can always come over and talk to us in our Telegram groups.
Yep. I'm going to put all the links. Our groups, comments will be open. It might take us a minute to see them because we're not always on all the platforms all the time. So, but the links to the Violet Ray Reiki, our website, everything, it'll all be in the descriptions. So just eyeball, look for it, and it'll be there.
Yep, it'll be there. Well, thanks for joining us. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.